Hello and welcome to Fast and Factual. I'm Utsaf Parekh and here are the top stories of the day. Starting with updates from the Israel-Hamas war, the release of hostages under a truce deal between Israel and Hamas will not happen before Friday. This is according to Israeli and US officials. A White House spokesperson said that the final logistical details for the hostage release are still in the works. This announcement dashed the hopes of those related to the hostages who were expecting to meet their loved ones today. Meanwhile, Israeli strikes continued in southern Gaza's Khan Yunis city yesterday. A resident of the area said that the strikes targeted about 20 houses. Wounded children and relatives were rushed to Nasser Hospital following the attack. Meanwhile, officials in Gaza have updated their death toll. More than 14,500 Palestinians have died since the war broke out. 6,000 children are among the casualties. Israel's army has said that they've taken over the headquarters of a Hamas brigade in northern Gaza. They released a video showing weapons caches, a workshop and a tunnel shaft. The army added that they had identified some weapons that were likely used in the October 7th attack. The head of Hezbollah, Hassan Nasrallah, has met with Hamas officials. The location and time of their meeting was not made public. Hezbollah said that their meeting focused on assessing the latest developments in the war, especially in the Gaza Strip. The Hamas and Hezbollah officials agreed to maintain permanent coordination in order to achieve their goals. Commanders from the naval arm of Yemen's Houthi rebel group visited the cargo ship that they had seized earlier this week. The group said that they were ready to attack any Israeli ship crossing the Bab el-Mandeb Strait in the southern part of the Red Sea. On Sunday, the Houthis seized the Galaxy Leader cargo ship that they said was linked to Israel. However, Israel had denied that the ship was theirs. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi has said that the Israel-Hamas conflict must not spread. He said this while speaking at a virtual summit of G20 nations yesterday. The Indian Prime Minister has urged G20 leaders to do whatever is necessary to ensure that the war does not spill over. Moving on to other political news, North Korea has scrapped its military deal with neighbor South Korea. Pyongyang says it will restore all military measures that were halted under the 2018 deal. It has also said that it will deploy stronger armed forces and new weapons on its border with South Korea. Seoul suspended part of the 2018 military accord yesterday. It was after Pyongyang successfully launched what's believed to be a spy satellite. British Prime Minister Rishi Sunak welcomed South Korean President Yoon Suk-yeol to his residence at 10 Downing Street yesterday. During their meeting, the heads of state signed an agreement to step up cooperation in defense, security and technology. The two nations will also work together to enforce UN sanctions on North Korea. Finland has said it will close all but one crossing point on its border with Russia. Only its northernmost border crossing, called Raja Giuseppe, will remain open. Finland's foreign minister made this announcement yesterday. Helsinki's move is an effort to halt the flow of asylum seekers flocking to Finland. The Nordic country has closed 4 crossing points on its border with Russia last week as well. Russian President Vladimir Putin has called last year's explosions at the Nord Stream gas pipeline an act of state terrorism. New reports have said that a Ukrainian military officer had coordinated the blasts. However, so far, no one has taken responsibility for the blasts that occurred in September 2022. The explosion ruptured 3 out of 4 lines of the Nord Stream. The pipeline was used to deliver natural gas from Russia to Europe. 2 people were killed in a car crash on the Rainbow Bridge linking the United States and Canada. A vehicle speeding towards the bridge from the American side crashed and exploded at a checkpoint. The vehicle's driver and a passenger were killed in the explosion. One U.S. Customs and Border Protection officer has also been injured. A preliminary investigation has found no signs of terrorism related to the incident. A rescue operation to pull out 41 trapped workers from a tunnel in India is in its final stages. An official added that they have removed a metal obstruction that slowed progress overnight. The men have been stuck in the tunnel in the Indian state of Uttarakhand since November 12th. The UN Refugee Agency has urged Pakistan to halt the deportation of undocumented Afghan refugees during winter. This is because Afghanistan's deadly winter can be life-threatening to some. Thousands of Afghans have gone underground in Pakistan to avoid deportation. They are afraid for their lives and to return to Afghanistan, which is now run by the Taliban. On to climate news now. We begin with the upcoming COP28 summit that will be held in Dubai. Carbon capturing is likely to be raised as a key issue at the summit. According to International Energy Agency's data, only 27 direct air capture hubs are functional globally. They're only capturing about 10,000 metric tons of carbon dioxide a year. Climate change lawsuits are heating up across the world. As global temperatures increase, citizens worldwide are increasingly turning to courtrooms. This is to challenge the use of fossil fuels by companies and businesses and to hold them accountable for emissions. Over 2,500 climate lawsuits have been filed in the past 5 years in countries around the world. Climate risks are rising in Pakistan. The rapidly melting glaciers are a threat to the region's future. According to reports, over 2 million Pakistanis are at risk of glacial lake flooding. The floods will also wipe out fertile land. A UN-backed glacial lake outburst flood project is helping communities minimize the threat. Australia has witnessed a surge in the number of threatened species by 25% since 2020. Endemic rainforest frogs, ringtail possums, high-altitude birds, and myrtle plants now face significant challenges. This is according to a report by the Queensland Wet Tropics Conservation Authority. It calls for urgent conservation efforts in Australia's northern rainforests, which are considered World Heritage. To address its pollution woes, Paris now plans to phase out all SUVs and other big cars from city limits. Paris authorities aim to do this by increasing parking fees. The measure will be introduced if residents vote in favor of it in an upcoming local referendum. Japan's capital, Tokyo, hosted its first World Cup for litter picking. A non-profit organization in Japan has turned litter picking into a serious sport. People from 21 countries like the US, Australia and France participated in the event. They had to collect as much litter as possible in 90 minutes. The participants were also asked to segregate the waste into different categories, like burnable waste, recyclable plastic bottles and metal cans. The UK ended up winning this litter-picking World Cup. Scientists at the University of Leeds in the UK have created an artificial intelligence system to track icebergs. The system will reportedly map the surface of the icebergs using satellite images. The mapping will take 1/100th of a second to complete. While manual mapping is still more accurate, it is a time-intensive process. On to business and tech news. Investors have pulled about more than $900 million from crypto exchange Binance over the past 24 hours. This comes after Changpeng Zhao pleaded to money laundering charges and stepped down as the firm's CEO yesterday. That was to settle a years-long probe into the illicit business practices of Binance. The recent developments at Binance have dealt the latest blow to the crypto industry. The sector was just reeling from the downfall of crypto exchange FTX. Billionaire entrepreneur Elon Musk is under fire again, this time for his brain implant company Neuralink. 4 US lawmakers have asked the market's regulator to investigate Musk. They've asked the US Securities and Exchange Commission to probe whether Musk misled investors. This is over the safety of the brain chip that his company Neuralink is developing. China has placed a debt-laden property developer Country Garden on a draft list of 50 developers. These firms will reportedly be eligible for a range of financing support from the government. Other distressed developers such as Sino-Ocean Group and Sifi Holdings are also on the list. This comes as China deals with mounting problems in the cash-squeezed and indebted property sector. This has sparked fears of a broader financial crisis and weighs heavily on the country's economic growth. General Motors' Cruise division is planning to relaunch its robo-taxis. This comes just weeks after the US state of California barred the self-driving vehicles from public roads. California's ban came following an accident last month. It is not clear where the company will relaunch its services, though. German automaker Volkswagen has said that it will hike salaries for its production workers by 11%. This is for its employees at its Tennessee-based assembly plant in the US. Volkswagen's announcement comes after America's United Auto Workers Union won significant pay and benefit hikes from the Detroit 3 automakers. Last month, the UAW agreed on a labor deal with Ford, General Motors and Stellantis after a month-long strike. More than 400 workers of the American department store Macys are planning a 3-day strike. This is to demand better wages and improved labor practices. Macys employees in the U.S. state of Washington will begin the strike tomorrow on the popular occasion of Black Friday. Black Friday is one of the busiest and most profitable days of the year at Macys. India's top organization for indirect taxes has issued notices to food delivery firms Swiggy and Zomato. This is over unpaid taxes worth about $90 million. The Directorate General of GST Intelligence has sent a tax demand of more than $47 million to Zomato, while it has demanded Swiggy pay $41 million. Spain's antitrust watchdog has cleared online platforms Amazon Booking Holdings and TripAdvisor. This is for allegedly participating in or facilitating fake reviews on their websites. A complaint alleged that the companies contact users to publish false reviews in exchange for money or gifts. Amazon Seller Services and the Inland Waterways Authority of India have inked an agreement. This is to boost cargo movement along the Indian River Ganga. A pilot program is set to launch on the Patna-Kolkata water route. European Union lawmakers have agreed to draft rules for tech companies like Google and Meta platforms. This is to identify and remove online child pornography. These rules will not affect end-to-end encryption on any device. The draft rule on child sexual abuse material has been a bone of contention between advocates of online safety measures and privacy activists. Activists were concerned that the rules will breach end-to-end encryption, leading to potential surveillance by governments. Moving to sports, let's start with cricket. Batter Dattu Pikal has been traded from his Indian Premier League team Rajasthan Royals. Pikal will now be seen playing for IPL team Lucknow Super Giants. The left-handed batter is likely to open for Lucknow in the upcoming season of the IPL, which begins in April 2024. Moving to football, Venezuela drew 1-1 with Peru in today's FIFA 2026 World Cup qualifier. After the match, a diplomatic spat has erupted between the two nations. Venezuela's President Nicolas Maduro has accused Peru of trying to kidnap the Venezuelan team. Maduro claimed that Peru's government deliberately refused to refuel the aircraft which was going to fly the Venezuelan team back. The aircraft was allowed to fly out of Peru after a 4-hour delay. Argentina's World Cup winning head coach Lionel Scaloni says he might resign from his position. Scaloni says that there are other things on his mind right now other than football. This comes just one day after a brutal fight erupted between Argentinian and Brazilian fans in a World Cup qualifier. After the match, Scaloni was shocked by the violence. He said, and I quote, "I don't know what to say, I don't want to be rude, but it's very ugly to see what happened." Manchester United defender Luke Shaw has returned to training. Shaw had been sidelined for the last 3 months after suffering a muscle injury. The 28-year-old has made only 2 appearances this season. After the training session, Shaw said that he was glad to be back and was eager to start playing. Scottish club Celtic FC has been fined $19,000 after their fans waved Palestinian flags. UEFA has delivered the verdict almost 1 month after Celtic played against Atletico Madrid in October. UEFA says that displaying Palestinian flags were deemed to be provocative and offensive in nature. In tennis, Australia beat the Czech Republic 2-1 to reach the Davis Cup semi-final. Thomas Muchach gave the Czech Republic an early lead. However, world number 12 Alex de Minaur and Wimbledon doubles champion Matthew Ebden delivered wins for Australia. The semi-final will be played tomorrow, where Australia will face Finland. Iga Świątek ended her season on a high note after she won the WTA Finals in Mexico's Cancun earlier this month. During a recent interview, the 22-year-old opened up about biases that media has against women athletes. Świątek said, and I quote, "Women are judged more harshly, as if we can't express our emotions. However, in men's tennis, it is accepted and interpreted as passion." In badminton, Indian shuttler Shrikant Kidambi was knocked out of the China Masters in the first round. Kidambi went down fighting 24-14, 21-14, 21-15 against reigning world champion Kunlavut Vitidsaran. Meanwhile, India's Lakshya Sen was also knocked out of the tournament. Sen lost to world number 7 Shi Yuqi 21-19, 21-18 in an hour-long thriller. Basketball star LeBron James has become the first player to score over 39,000 points in the NBA. 38-year-old James surpassed Lakers legend Kareem Abdul-Jabbar to become the leading scorer of all time. The milestone came as Los Angeles Lakers beat Utah Jazz 131-99 last night. James contributed to the win with 17 points. Organizers of the 2024 Paris Olympics plan to sell 400,000 tickets for the Games next week. At least 7 million tickets have already been sold by the organizers. They aim to achieve the target of 10 million ticket sales for next year's Olympics. Paris organizers have already set a new record for the highest ticket sales, crossing the previous record of 5 million. In entertainment news, there's a wave of new sexual assault lawsuits in the US. Axl Rose, the lead singer of the band Guns N' Roses, has been accused of rape. A model, Sheila Kennedy, accused Rose of raping her in 1989. Kennedy said Rose trapped her in his room and did not ask for her consent. She also says that her career was destroyed because of the assault. Actor and comedian Jamie Foxx is being accused of sexual assault as well. Foxx has been sued by a woman for allegedly assaulting her in New York in 2015. The complainant said that he groped her at a rooftop bar where they were dining separately. A third sexual assault case involves actor Cuba Gooding Jr. 2 women accused the Oscar-winning actor of assaulting them in 2018 and 2019. 2 separate cases have been filed. One plaintiff accused Cuba Gooding Jr. of forcibly kissing her, while the other said he groped her. They are seeking damages for emotional distress and lost wages. The Malaysian government issued a behavior warning to the band Coldplay ahead of their concert yesterday. Kuala Lumpur said that if any of the band members misbehaved on stage, the concert would get cancelled midway. This was after protests in Malaysia against Coldplay's support for the LGBTQ+ community. The government's warning to Coldplay follows an incident in July. Singer Matty Healy from the band called The 1975 kissed a man on stage during a concert in Malaysia. The Malaysian government has also created a kill switch to cut off power at concerts in case of other such forms of LGBTQ+ support. Rapper Cardi B has responded to a social media user who criticized her for sharing workout videos. A user suggested that influencers like her only pretended to exercise while opting for weight reduction surgeries. Cardi B said that despite undergoing cosmetic altercations, she remains committed to hitting the gym to maintain her physique. K-pop star Jun Hook of BTS fame has revealed that he will be leaving for his mandatory military service in December. Before his departure, he poured his heart out in a letter to his fans. He wrote that 1.5 years is a long time, but he will return as a mature person. The K-pop band 50/50 have achieved an international milestone with their song Cupid. They've become the first South Korean girl band to have a song enter the Billboard 100 chart. Psy, Pinkfong and BTS are the only ones from South Korea who have ranked on the chart before this. 50/50's track Cupid released a year ago. Television personality Kim Kardashian has invested in truffle-infused hot sauce and the condiment brand called Truff. She acquired what reports say is a significant minority stake in the company. Kardashian launched a private equity firm called Sky Partners last year. This investment in Truff is her firm's first deal. Actor Jenna Orga has decided to drop out of the Scream movie franchise. She is reportedly facing scheduling conflicts with the second season of the Netflix series Wednesday. This means now the makers of Scream have to look for 2 new lead faces. They had recently fired their other lead, Melissa Barrera, a few days ago. Meanwhile, Barrera has broken her silence after being dropped from Scream 7. The actor took to Instagram and wrote that she condemns both anti-Semitism and Islamophobia. Barrera also wrote that she will continue to raise awareness about issues she cares about. The makers of the Scream franchise fired her over her series of social media posts on the Israel-Hamas war. That's all for this episode of Fast and Factual. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned to Firstpost.